Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our listeners, and this is the translation of that message. The narration reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? My brother, my story, it goes on like this. I am a man who is aged 56 years old. So when I got married, after I had met this very beautiful girl, indeed, yes, whenever I would look at her, I would say that, God, this is the woman that I want to get married to. We were in love, and me and my wife, we met. My wife, she comes from an area here in Zim that is called Urungwe. So me and my wife, we stayed together, and we then had our kids. We had 4 kids together. Then when we had our kids, there were some things that were happening that I could not even understand. What would happen is that whenever me and my wife will be enjoying our love, there was this other bird, an eagle. This bird, it would come at our house. This bird, it was something that was just spiritual. There was something that was spiritual about this bird, because whenever it would come to our compound, this eagle, it will start singing and it would call out her name. When I first heard this, I thought that maybe there was something that was wrong with me. It was only after my wife had confirmed it, when she pointed at that eagle as it was busy singing, just resting on top of this tree that was in our compound, and it called out her name. Then my wife said, can you hear that? This bird, it is actually calling out my name. Then my brother, whenever this thing would happen, my wife, she will start to fight with me. It would be like a demon would have possessed her. She would fight with me, and whenever I would try to beat her up, she would end up beating me up. It was as if she had spirits of men that were now residing in her body, and she will always overpower me. Then after she would have beaten me up, then my wife will say that I have heard enough. I want to return back to my village. I want to go back home. And this thing, it kept on happening over and over again. Sometimes this bird, it would come and it would rest on top of our cooking hut. Sometimes it would rest on top of the trees. This bird, it would actually sing, Brother Nashi, and whenever I would try to throw a stone in the direction of that eagle, then my wife will start to shout at me. She will say, you are very heartless and cruel. This is but a creature of God that was made by God. And I will say, since when did God started creating eagles that can sing like human beings? And from there on, Brother Nashi, me and my wife, we never enjoyed our love again. I was now like a widower, because my wife, she would go back to her village for a month or even 3 weeks. Then whenever I would ask her when she would be coming back to our home, she will just drop her call and she will say that I will come when I want to come. Brother Nashi, this thing, it kept on happening over and over again, until one day, after this eagle had came, it sang its song as it was saying, Grace, Grace, you are being called back home. Oh Grace, can't you hear my cry? You are being called back home by your parents. And on that night I said, I do not want to give her any money. When she asked me for some money, she said that I've been thinking about my relatives a lot. I need to return back to Urungwe. Can you please give me my money? Can you please give me some money, my husband, so that I can go back and just pay a visit, and I will quickly return back home, my love. I then said that as for you, woman, you have been doing this for all of these years. Tonight, I am not going to give you any money at all. If you want to go back to your village, if you want to go back to your people, what you are going to do is that you are going to go there on foot. You are not going to get any money from me. I refused, Brother Nashi. When I refused, she then started crying. She cried throughout the night, and she kept on telling me that If you do not give me money, I am going to kill myself. If you do not give me any money, I am going to kill myself. But I said, I do not have any money to give you. And in truth, I didn't have money that was enough for her to go back home and for her to return back to the place where we were staying. But she could not understand what I was trying to tell her. She was really upset. She was so sad. Then after a couple of days, my brother, then there was something strange that happened. Me and my wife and my kids, we were just sitting outside in our compound. Our kids were busy playing. That was when one amongst our kids just fell to the ground. So I thought that maybe it is a game that kids play. But when he fell to the ground, he then started rolling over and moving as if he was a snake. He was even leaving some markings on the ground like what a snake does. Brother Nashi, when I saw all of these things, I then went to this other prophet. When I went to that prophet, that was when we found out that all of my kids, they were now mentally ill. And whenever my kids will shout, that is when this bird will return. And whenever my kids will be like 100. And whenever my kids will start screaming, that is when this bird will return and it will start singing its song. And each and every place, whenever I go with my kids and my wife, we are being told by a lot of prophets and traditional healers that as for my wife, she needs to confess. She has to confess. But my wife, the only thing that she can do is that she can cry. Whenever my wife will start crying, you will never stop her, because she will cry and she will say, why do you want me to confess? Because I do not have anything to confess. I do not have any confession to make. So I then went to this other area here in Zim. It is called Kunjanja. I went to Kunjanja, and when I went there, we then returned back at the place where I am staying in Muzarabani, and we returned back with this prophet. So this prophet started assisting us. When this prophet was assisting us, she gave us an African cooking stick, the one that we use when we are making soft porridge. Then that prophet said, go, take this, my child, go and hit your mother on top of her head. After my child had gone to hit her own mother on her own forehead with that African cooking stick, that was when my wife acted as if she was under some sort of a possession. Then my wife, she then started confessing. She confessed a lot of scary stuff. My wife said that I am not a witch, but my father is the one who is a witch. Please forgive me, my husband, because this bird, even though I pretended as if I do not know anything about this eagle that comes and sings and calls out my name, this bird, it belongs to my husband. Oh, this bird belongs to my father. Oh, my husband, forgive me, because I have wronged you and I have wronged my own children that I gave birth to. I said, how have you wronged me? Then my wife said that, oh, I have done a very terrible thing. I have been doing a taboo. There is a taboo that is happening between me and my father. Me and my father, we sleep together. We actually have intercourse. And after every 2 months, this is the reason as to why I have to return back to Rungwe to be my father, because I am like his wife. If I do not make love physically to my father, then what will happen is that my father will actually die. She then said that my father, he is a witch. He is the one who actually killed my mother. And after my father had killed my mother, on the day that my mother was about to be buried, my father then cut off her flesh, and then my father started eating up her flesh. She said that my father started eating the flesh of my mother. He started with the intestines. This is what he did. And each and every time when I am with my father, we actually make love. Brother Nashi, when I heard this story, I was actually shocked and I was scared. And each and every time when she is with her father, she confessed that she makes love to her father. Right now, my kids, they are all mentally ill, and I do not know what am I supposed to do. Please help me, because when I look at my own kids, they are suffering. They are suffering, Brother Nashi. Is there anyone, any prophet that can assist me? Because as for that prophetess whom I went to get in Janja, when I came with her, she seemed to be so scared, because in this witchcraft world, it seems as if my wife's father, he is a very powerful witch. She just said that I am returning back to your home so that I can give you some prayers so that you can use them against your father-in-law, but she never returned back to my compound. I am losing money whenever I go to these fake prophets. They'll just make me to pay them. Sometimes they want a cow or 2 cattle, so I am losing my livestock, but there is no one who is assisting me. As for my kids, they are still mentally ill. Whenever that eagle cries out, then my wife, she does not ask me anymore. She just leaves my compound and she returns back to her own father. When I confronted her, she said, "So do you want me to leave my father to die? Let me go to my father so that I can be with him." It is not nice to know that your wife sleeps with her own father as the same way that she sleeps with you. I do not know what am I supposed to do anymore. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear sisters. Your dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brothers. Strange things do happen in this world.